Hey, 207 Card Guys here, filming from the Portland Card Show. There's Tim over there, Joey in the background. There's a great crowd here in Portland at Fireside Inn. We are pumped up for this show today. Lots of great items here. Check out what Tim's got at the table. All kinds of great buys here. I'm going to be walking around here, checking some stuff out. But, yeah, absolutely. Scott's got all kinds of great stuff at his table over here. Autographs, boxes, cards. Hey! Lots of deals to be had all over the place. How you folks doing? Good, you? Good. Oh, there's Joey right there. Okay, so we just showed you guys part of the video there of the card show there in Portland, and I'm here with Tim, and we're going to talk to you guys about card shows, preparing for card shows, what Tim does running a table at a card show. So Tim, what is it that you do to prepare yourself for a show?
Well, that's a great question, and you know, that's the problem with card shows. You never know who's coming.
Yeah.
You never know what they want. So one show they want certain things, and you know, you get those things prepared, and then get to the show only to find out that consumer's not at the show.
Yeah.
Or they don't come to your table and ask if you have that. But with that said, basically what I do is I do very little with dollar cards, $2 cards. I tend to keep my cards at least around the $5 range and up on $5. Mm-hmm. In other words, if it's a $12 card, I'm going to put 15 on, and then when someone says, will you take less than that, I'll say 10.
Yeah.
Just because I don't like to deal with ones. But that being said, there's a lot that goes into it with respect to, again, am I going to bring smaller things like little subsets? Am I going to bring autograph stuff? Am I going to bring, the vintage, which, by the way, for me, vintage is really pre-80 for sure.
Yeah.
But probably more like 75 and older. So, again, that part of that is all about who my clientele has been in the past. So I typically do the Portland Fireside Show once a month. And I typically do the Bangor Elks Club show every other month. And I kind of get a sense of, A, who's the customers are, B, what it is they're looking for. Portland tends to be a little more football, baseball, whereas in Bangor, it's actually branched a little bit more, but it's mostly football, basketball.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you do to price your cards?
So what I do is the vintage stuff. There is a vintage Beckett that is out, and typically, unless it's a star such as a Sandy Koufax, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Mickey Mantle, those cards typically have the ability to go up in price, whereas most of the other commons and minor stars don't. So I'll take a look at the newest book that's out there. I'll generally buy that. I like to be on top of it a little bit.
Yeah.
So with those cards, it's a lot easier. The newer cards, it really is all about looking at the book and saying, okay, this is what the book says. And I tend to put the book price on the card with the idea that, A, I know that my goal is for people to know that at least Beckett, which was always considered the Bible of sports card collecting, is still prevalent in my services. But B, I know that, okay, I have a price of 800, but you know what? Maybe I'll take 700.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll take 6. So it's for me to be able to work with customers, but more importantly, it's for them to see this is what the card goes for in the book.
Yeah. So speaking of that, then, you always hear the term, especially at shows, comps. The comps on this card are this, the comps on this card are that. Can you first talk about what a comp is, and then I'll ask you a follow-up question?
Sure. So, unfortunately for me, as a small-time seller, I get people all the time looking at their phones when they come and look at my stuff to see if what I have for a price is what the computer is saying, i.e. eBay for the most part. There may be some other auction sites that they're also contributing to that comp.
Mm-hmm.
But basically what it is if, as an example, a card books for, in that Beckett, 500, and that's what I have for my price, someone's going to look at that price and say, this card, what is it going for? And they'll look on eBay and they'll see that one sold for 520, 430, 380, 340, and they'll say, okay, so the comp is that kind of middle ground average, if you will, of those sales. What customers don't take into consideration is what makes up a comp with respect to, the example I just gave, I think the cheapest price I gave was $320. Well, why was it $320? Well, it was $320 potentially because someone went on, said buy it now, $350. Someone said, hey, would you take $320 for it? And they just wanted to get rid of the card, and they said, yep, no problem. So that tends to skew the value of cards. And so when you're looking at comps as a collector, and I always say that's your right. You know, you have the right to look. You know what you want to spend. I know what I want to get.
Yeah.
Are we going to meet somewhere in the middle? But I've had people who, as an example, if I have $300 on the card, and they say, well, this card sold for $140 just last week. You know, I'll use that seasonality, if you will. If it's the winter, it's not football season. So yes, that card did sell for that, because once again, there are dealers out there who are not attached to their cards, to their collection. And after all, that's what mine are. Mine are, or would be, my collection.
Right.
So I buy when I sell. That's kind of the way it is. But there are sellers out there who they're motivated for the thrill, if you will, of ripping packs and seeing what they might get out of those, and then basically blowing out their stuff.
Yeah.
Because they want more money to buy more boxes and more packs and that type of thing. I'm just not that guy.
Right. So as a dealer, you're getting ready for a show. You've got literally thousands of cards that you bring. And I know, based on the fact that I've been to a million card shows with you, almost every one of your cards has a sticker on it with an asking price.
Yes.
How often do you go through and actually reprice them for current rates, current values, whatever?
What a great question. And so what I do is, again, I don't, because it is my collection, and again, I want to stress that I am different than just the guy who buys the pack, rips it, and wants to sell it. So because of that, I take into consideration, is the market viable at the time?
Yeah.
So as an example, again, we go with the NFL. Right now, I have an $800 rookie card, a downtown, of Ashton Gentry for, it's a $800 card in the book. Now, have I looked it up since then? No, because there's no book out there yet that's going to convince me that once this year comes, and perhaps, things go a little bit better for the Raiders and for him, where that card's going to go. So someone like that, I will take into consideration what people say when they are giving me a realistic price. But I also look at it, and if someone's going to, again, lowball me, as a lot of dealers will, sometimes that's the word they'll use. I have to know, again, am I willing to sell that card, or am I willing to hold off in hopes that when the football season comes, he is starting to play better. All of a sudden, that card becomes that much more expensive.
Yeah.
But as you also know, based on card shows that you've gone to with me, you know there's always that, I'll use Maine's own Cooper Flag. Pete and I, we went to a card show as collectors, as buyers.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And a gentleman had one, and he had a $100,000 price tag. And he had others at $10,000 and $5,000 and whatever. And I looked at Pete and I said, these cards will never be worth that. And so the dealer happened to overhear me, and it was partly because, I must have been too loud because the room was kind of loud.
Yeah.
But that was okay. And so he basically said, you're not wrong that it's possible these cards won't be, but that's where they are now.
Yeah.
And I said, and I didn't mean to, offend you. If I did, I definitely apologize. I said, but the reality of that card is if, and heaven forbid, I always say that, if Cooper Flag were to get some sort of an injury where he could never play again, that $100,000 card is now worth next to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You yourself bought a Larry Bird rookie card. It's beautiful. It's, to me, it is a 10. Now, we're going to find out, hopefully, whether it is or it isn't when we go to the Nationals. But that being said, that's a Hall of Famer. On that card is another rookie, Magic Johnson, a Hall of Famer. And guess what? In the middle is another Hall of Famer, Dr. J.
Yeah.
Is that card going to be worth whatever the grade will tell you it is? My opinion, and the opinion of PSA evidently, is yes, it will.
Yeah.
And presently, again, a Cooper Flag card could be that $100,000 card.
Yeah.
You have to decide whether you want to take that gamble or not.
Well, and the thing is, too, with Cooper Flag, like you said, God forbid, he gets injured. If Larry Bird twists his ankle tomorrow, it's not going to impact the value of that card. He's not playing anymore. And the same thing with Magic Johnson or Dr. J. But with current players, that is the case.
That is.
Yeah.
And, and don't get me wrong, because there is always the other side, those veterans.
Yeah.
There's always that other side. And I'll give a great example, O.J. Simpson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay? I will go to my grave knowing that he did it. I just, everything that I read, everything that I saw, all things point to that.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, his rookie card, I have one. It's not even looked at. People don't, and there is a guy who is in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that there's been argument and discussion about should he be taken out.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, the way I look at it is, was he a Hall of Famer when he played?
Right.
Collectors sometimes will look at, I don't care whether it was when he played or afterwards, what did he do? If he was just an awful person after he got done, I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a good argument to be made for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to now your cards, your collection and stuff like that, how do you keep your inventory current? Because, as you said before, there are people who go out and buy boxes and buy cases and buy whatever and just rip packs all day and try and look for those big hits to try and sell. And I know you don't do that. No. So what do you do then to keep your inventory current?
That's a great question. And it really is. One, you got to know your clientele that those are those repeat buyers. What are they looking for? And so I try to do as much as I can toward that way of thinking. I have, over the years, become more and more of a vintage person in that I would love to buy vintage cards. I love to have them. I love to sell them. Again, because those guys, they're done.
Yeah.
One of our buddies, Mike, always says, like with Ted Williams autographs, he's not signing anymore. So, that's how I look at it as well. What can I do for those collectors that are looking? Because there aren't a lot of us who are selling those type of cards.
Yeah.
As far as the newer stuff, I don't think I have bought a box of cards of any size, at least in the last 10 to 15 years. And the reason for that is because I would buy them and end up with 8 or 10, 15 or 20, and then what do I do with the rest?
Right.
I've sold lots of cards, on Marketplace, 100,000, 250,000, another 150,000 quantities. I'm talking here, people, not cash. And
Well, that'd be nice.
for next to nothing,
Yeah.
because of all those cards that I had. So what I do now is I will go to card shows and I will listen to what the customer's asking for. And if I don't presently have it, I will look to find it. So a lot of times, and anyone that's ever been a dealer at a card show, you know that there's a rush and then there's a lull. And during those lulls, and sometimes it's at the end of that show, sometimes it's in the middle, I'll go out and I'll look and see what's, people are selling. And a lot of times, like I said, at card shows, you're going to get that good deal. I look at it as a good deal, but I don't usually get a ton of profit from it when I resell. And partly it's because I know what I have in it. And I bought those cards specifically for the clientele that's been asking about it. So that's kind of how I keep current. And I will be honest with you. I'm sure there are people who come to my tables and go, that's the same stuff I saw the last time.
Yeah.
Part of it is I tend to, if I have my display cases, and by the way, I had to go to display cases because cards were just being ripped off when I had them out, for people, just to kind of paw through.
Yeah.
And I still have boxes where they paw through. But that being said, if I get a stack of cards, I want the best one in that stack to be on the top.
Yeah.
And so people, unless they ask, and a lot of times they don't, they may be missing out on a card that I have. And I'm the type of dealer / collector where, again, because it's my collection, when you come to my table, I'm not going to say to you, who do you look for, and get right up in your face and try to be that salesperson.
Right.
I want you to look, see what I have, and then if you don't see it, say, hey, do you have? And sometimes I will actually have people that will take that time. But I find a lot of times, even when I'm not selling, I'm enjoying myself because I'm talking about cards.
Right.
With people that come in and say, hey, I've got that very card. I didn't realize it was worth that much.
Yeah.
And being able to say, well, if you buy this book or... and again, sometimes I'll say, there are things that are not in Beckett. And I'll give a great example of Beckett has become so big because of all. So as an example, if Panini has 35 different cards they're dealing with, Beckett's going to put all that in there.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you go to look for a card that was 2000 even. You're not seeing it. 2018, you're not seeing it because they come up with, we got to cut it off because the magazine's getting too big.
Yeah.
So because of that, you do kind of have to, and I have gone to comps. But when I look at comps for that very reason, and again, it's not often, but when I do, if I see that the top sales is $500, that's the price I'm going to put.
Yeah.
With the reality that I know someone's going to look up the comps and they're going to say something, and I'm going to be able to say, well, look, I know it's also the top. So where are we going to meet if we can agree on meeting?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the conversations had at the tables too are just fantastic. That guy from Cincinnati that we met at the last show.
Absolutely.
That was a lot of fun. How he was looking for those specific players that played for the Cincinnati Reds, and he kept debating back and forth about buying. I can't remember what card he bought off
Vic
you.
Vic Lombardozzi, I think is how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
And unless I see it, sometimes I mispronounce it. But it was a 5.5 grade from Beckett, and it was a $300 card.
Yeah.
And we settled on $2.25, I think it was. But again, it's part of that. He was so excited about that card that I'm like, you know what? I know what it's worth. It's not going down. And by the way, just as an aside, Beckett also has a vintage collector's catalog, if you will, and that's how I got my price. But that being said, I wanted to see him happy, and I think even in the discussion, I said, what are you looking at?
Right.
And we agreed on the 225, and he went back to Cincinnati, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
A happy man, and with that card, and I'm happy that, you know, he was able to do that.
Well, and then at the end he said, "Hey, maybe I'll see you at the National," which I doubt, because there's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of people there.
True.
And I don't know if I'd recognize him tomorrow if I saw him.
Right.
But it was a great conversation to be had.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So another question, and this is not related to shows here, but it's a question we got from our last video from Charlene. So thanks, Mom. The question was, when she saw you have your Salada T coin that you specifically held up, and you said the value of it, and you talked about the set that you have, in general, is it better to break up a set value-wise to sell the individual cards, or is it better to sell an entire set as a whole?
Again, that was a great question, and I've done both.
Yeah.
Specifically to that Salada T, this is a coin that some will say it's not part of the set because it's a variant.
Yeah.
So for me, selling that variant is not taking away from the set. I have the one that I should have, the one where his name is on the left-hand side of Dick Williams, Salada T, number 48. So I have that one. It's in the book. And so if I go to sell that, I can say to the consumer, this is the full set.
Right.
And by the way, there are 221, and then with the variations, there's 265. Well, there are 6 or 8 variations I just cannot afford.
Yeah.
And haven't even seen, for that matter. So that being said, I think when a consumer buys that, they understand. Now, let's get back to the question about a set. A great example would be the 1983 Topps baseball set. I had that set. It has Wade Boggs, rookie, in it, Tony Gwynn, rookie, in it, Ryan Rinsenberg, rookie, in it. Those 3 cards, their value is worth more than the entire set. So I tried selling the set for, at least 6 or 7 years. You know, here's the set, it's available, that type of thing, this is the price. And I got nowhere. And I said one day, you know what? I bet I could sell these individual cards. And ultimately, in selling the 3, I'll get as much as the set that I was asking. So I did that, and sure enough, I sold 2 out of the 3. And then probably, and I'll say months later, because time goes by so fast, but I sold the 3rd.
Yeah.
And so I think it really comes down to, are you a set builder? Do you want to keep that set, pass that on as a keepsake to your, next generation of collector? Or are you looking for money here and now?
Yeah.
There are people, and I love them. They are part of what I do. In fact, this past show, a gentleman came looking for the 86, 87 Fleer basketball.
Right.
And I had a bunch of singles, and he went through and he picked up, I think, probably 30. And it's because he's building another set. Mm-hmm. I have people who will buy from me from my 1968 collection of players because they're trying to build that set. So I think a lot of it really is, who is your consumer? What is he or she looking for? Is it worth breaking that set up? Now, presently, I have probably 20 or so sets online altogether on Marketplace. No one's looking at them, and it's because a lot of it was 87, 88, 89, up through, and one set just happens to be Justin Verlander's rookie year. But the point I'm trying to make here is there just aren't people collecting sets anymore, seemingly.
Right.
Especially of that, what we call junk wax era.
Yeah.
The 90s, early 2000s. So I would say if you've got an older set, unless you're looking to unload it quickly, and that the individual players are people that people will buy, I say keep it as a set, because ultimately I think the set should be worth more. A great example, and I was saying this to Pete and one of my consumers this past week, and I have the 1987-88 sticker set, Fleer sticker set with Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and so forth. And that set books for $600. It is the first set or subset I've ever seen where the individual prices do not match that price
Right.
that they want for the set.
Yeah.
It's not even close. It's not even close. But I think part of that is people understood. People were taking out the Jordan, selling it, and what did they have left is now what do I do with it?
Yeah.
And I think that somewhere down the line, people or past, someone said, you know what? I think this set would be worth more if it were all together.
Well, I mean, another great example, too, is 89 Upper Deck Baseball with Ken Griffey, where Griffey himself is about as valuable as the entire set
Absolutely.
combined. Pull that one card out, you can, chuck the rest pretty much there, and you've got your value in that one card. And if it grades high, you've got, a multi-$1,000 card potentially. Yes. Yeah. So let's take a look back at a little bit more of the show here, and then we're going to wrap things up. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good.
Awesome, awesome.
To say the least.
Awesome. You mind being on the YouTube channel here?
Oh, I would love to.
Awesome, buddy. So let's take a look at what you got here. Mostly into football, it looks like.
Yes, very into football.
Nice, nice. What's your favorite team?
Probably have to say Patriots.
Patriots. Outstanding answer. That is the right answer, by the way. Nice. Drake May, favorite player?
Yes, obviously.
Obviously.
Everybody loves Drake May.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, good luck to you today.
Thank you very much.
Hey, how's it going?
Howdy.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how's it going?
Not bad, not bad. Lots of great stuff here.
How's the day going for you?
Very, very good. Boy, it's been a great crowd all day here today. Yeah. Do you mind if I film you a little bit? Yeah. Yeah. Tim and I have created a YouTube channel called the 207 Card Guys. Yeah. So we're putting together some videos here, and yeah. Good luck to you. So we're going to wrap this thing up now, folks, and the next time we're going to see you, we're going to be filming next Tuesday on location at Mike Burkhart's shed. He's asked us to film there. It's going to be awesome. You're going to get to see all kinds of memorabilia, some great friends, some great food. So, Tim, is there anything last minute you want to say? Or?
I just, as we are getting closer to that national, I am getting excited about it.
Yeah.
I am trying to think in my own head, what is it that I really want to get from this show as far as from my PC. So I'm again looking at that. I think maybe next time we'll even take a look at some of the prices that because we've got graders coming to the national. We have PSA, we have Beckett, we have SGC. There's a few others.
Yeah.
And what they're asking and what our thoughts are on those. So I think that's something for
and even the
next
decision to grade or not to get something graded.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So we will see you guys next week, and have a great week.
Absolutely.